I don't think I love you no more. You never seem to call me lately, but I don't think she knew me at all.
Alright, today's video is going to be on the Stephen Avery proof of guilt challenge that Kathleen Zellner put out years ago. And if you're asking why I'm just now talking about this, no, I haven't been living under a rock. I've just been working and watching Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, and Making a Murderer reruns. However, I just came across this yesterday, so I want to hit on a few quick points. However, Kathleen Zellner is an awesome attorney. I mean, she really is. She's outstanding. But on a lighter note, I'm sure most of y'all might have already seen it, but on YouTube there is a Kathleen Zellner parody video where somebody is dressed up acting like Kathleen Zellner. If you haven't seen it, go search for it and find it. It's absolutely hilarious. And the guy does a pretty good job of acting like her. Alright, real quick, I'm going to start going over some of these things that I'm sure y'all have already read like 2 years ago. I'm not going to read every one of them, but some of these things everybody's already mentioned even before this list came out. You know, the actively bleeding. Why is there only 6 spots of blood, no mixtures? She talks about why wasn't the driver's blood on the driver's door handle, the rear passenger door, steering wheel, gear shift, hood prop, brake release, driver's seat bar. See, I didn't, in my video the other day I mentioned that. And apparently they've been there, done that. They already thought of that. So, explain why there are no fingerprints in or on the this is something new I didn't know. Apparently, there was 8 sets of prints on the RAV that didn't match Stephen Avery. That one took me back. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I even had to reread it, the first time I seen it. So, let me get this straight. There's 8 prints on the car. Most of the suspects aren't asked to provide their fingerprints for analysis. Furthermore, to my knowledge, the state isn't required to tell us whose prints was on the vehicle. I mean, I don't know this for a fact, so that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of asking, was that information ever released? If not, are you kidding me? Like, they can just have all these different fingerprints on the vehicle and not disclose who they were. Hopefully that's absolutely crazy. It goes on to talk about why weren't the fingerprints compared to Lieutenant Link or Coburn or other possible suspects. It talks about, I'm just hitting the points that I like that she made, because obviously I can't hit everyone. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, my printer is acting stupid or something. It wouldn't print. I tried to print these out so I wouldn't have to read it off of my phone. The printer's acting stupid, so I'm looking at my phone. I'm not trying to be weird or nothing, like looking down. Anyways, if you believe that Miss Hallbot was killed in the trailer and that Mr. Avery and Brendan Dassey cleaned up the trailer so thoroughly as to remove any forensic trace of Miss Hallbach, identify the specific cleaning products and chemicals that could have been used to remove all traces of DNA, forensic evidence, blood, hair, skin cells, etc. If Miss Hallbach was handcuffed to the bed with Mr. Avery's handcuffs, why is her DNA not present on the handcuffs? What other individuals' DNA was present on the handcuffs. Didn't know that. That was a new one. Absolutely insane. So you're telling me Ken Kratz gets up there in front of the jury and describes, on the press conference for sure. I don't know if he said it in court, but Teresa was chained to the bed in these handcuffs, and she was just brutally raped and stabbed. And hold on a sec. So you test the handcuffs, and her DNA isn't on it, but somebody else's is. So that throws that out of the water, because there's no possible way you can clean her DNA off and leave somebody else's. And back to the prints, there's no way that he could have wiped the whole car, wiped the car down for prints and just left all the ones that wasn't his. It's absolutely stupid. All right, so moving on. Blah, blah, blah. Explain how Ms. Hallbach on 1031. No, that's not really important to me. Provide any reenactment, video, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, guys. It's hard for me to read on this phone. Colburn, twisted, turned bookcase. Another one I seen was explain why Ryan Hilligus had 21 unanswered calls in the span of like 4 hours on November the 4th. Or unidentified calls or unanswered, something to that effect. I can't quite find it in here at the moment, but that's highly suspicious. 21 unanswered calls. Wonder if that was Pam Stern or Lieutenant Link or Andrew Colburn. I wonder if all of their phone records have been analyzed. Probably not. Let's see. Why would Mr. Avery so thoroughly clean up every speck of forensic evidence in his trailer and the garage, but leave 6 easily detectable blood spots of his in the RAV? It is. Look, I don't have to tell you guys this, but the fact that they think they can pull. Well, I mean, they did pull it off because they're in jail, but the fact that they was able to pull this off and convict Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassner with so many discrepancies it's mind-blowing. It really is. It's insane. I'm trying to come up with better words to describe it, and I can't come up with new ones other than insane or ridiculous. But that's what it is. Explain why the prosecution claims that after Mr. Avery shot Ms. Hallbach on his garage floor, put her body into the RAV and then removed it from the RAV. Makes no sense. There's also a part in here that talks about there was evidence that the body was in the back of the car while it was in motion. So that throws that out. Explain why Brendan's confession is similar to the fictional story in James Patterson's book, Kiss the Girls, when Brendan admitted to watching or reading it. This one isn't too big of a bombshell for me. I mean, because the lawyers could have easily told him, look, just say you got all of this out of this movie or whatever. I'm not saying that's what happened. I believe Brendan is innocent. I'm just saying that one doesn't really do nothing for me. However, I do not know what they're talking about when they're talking about a movie or a book called Kiss the Girls. If anybody knows where I can watch that for free, what platform I can watch that on, from the sound of it, might not want to watch it, but I am interested to see how similar it is to Brendan's confession. If y'all know where I can watch that for free, I don't feel like paying money for it, but it also goes on to say, explain why the bullet fragment item FL has wood, but not bone on it. This is just something, sorry. This is just, I don't understand how it is legal to submit a bullet for evidence that is clearly shot through some part of the garage. Has red paint on it. It has wood. You do not even have to be an expert in the field of ballistics or whatever you want to call it to see it. When they put it on the microscope, you can see it. I knew what it was as soon as they told me it was. Put the bullet on the screen. In the second season, I knew exactly what it was before they even said it. I said it looks like wood. It looks like pressed, like almost like OSB. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it's like a pressed plywood type stuff. It's not even real plywood. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look like bone, and I mean that was just right off the top of my head. I'm not no expert in ballistics or anything. Identify. And by the way, the defense in the trial to me didn't explain that, look, yeah, y'all might not have bullets all laying around y'all's yard and the garage, but this is out in the sticks. And like even in my house in Louisiana, sometimes we go out there and just shoot all kind of crap. Not animals, but like just trees and targets and beer bottles. There's there's probably casings all out there in my backyard. If you live out in the country, that's not abnormal, and the defense attorney should have to me that's one thing they should have emphasized. Like, look, there's bullets everywhere out there. There's bullet holes through the garage, shot through burn barrels, street signs, trees, whatever. They just shooting everything out there. It's not, just because you found some bullet casings doesn't mean a crime happened there. Even though Stephen Avery wasn't supposed to have a gun, but that's besides the point. Whatever. Identify any evidence that would establish that the bullet fragment exited the skull. There is no evidence. That's why I can't provide it. Just bear with me because I'm having to scroll through these. I know it's taking a while. Just bear with me. I love this one. Why would Stephen and Brendan carry Miss Halbach's body from the trailer to the garage, but then decide to place her on the creeper to roll her to the burn pit, which is 15 yards away? Kathleen Zellner is the beast, man. She really is. If I had it to do over again, I would go back and be a lawyer. I swear. I really like my sarcasm and the way I like to argue with people. I just really feel like I would be an amazing attorney. I really do. If Mr. Avery cleaned his garage so thoroughly, why did he leave the bullet fragments on the floor? You can't make this stuff up. Alright. Let's go on. 13 minutes already. Jeez. Explain why Pamela Stern was given a camera and allowed onto the Avery salvage yard on November 5th when the other searchers were sent to the other locations, not to the Avery property. Provide an explanation, blah, 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 blah. Explain why Pamela Stern was the only one provided with a camera. That's strange. Don't quote me on this, but I think the RAV was found on the 5th. All these searchers show up, blah, blah, blah. Nobody gets a camera. All of a sudden, Pam Stern shows up, and Ron's like, oh, here, don't forget this camera. Because, you remember the RAV? And then, let's not forget that day before that, I believe it was, when Coburn calls the dispatcher to call in Sam William Henry 582, whatever it was, her license plate. And you can hear the voice in the background saying, the car is here, the car is here. I can't, my Wisconsin accent is horrible, sorry. But, regardless, we all know it was her. That audio tape that I heard on YouTube, when they slowed motion that video down, that was definitely her. If that was authentic, I can't confirm if it was or wasn't. Why didn't the investigators investigate Miss Halbach had appointments in Sheboygan on the morning of 10/31? the zipper residence too. That was something else that brought up in here. Why was something about, I can't find it. It was something about the prosecution lost a audio file of a conversation between the zippers or something and Teresa. The prosecution just lost it. I don't know how these guys are still sitting in jail. I really don't, man. It's ridiculous. Let's just assume, let's just say, okay, look, let's just, in the back of your mind, let's just say, okay, you know what? Which I do not believe, 100%, I do not believe, but let's say Stephen Avery did it. Okay, let's just say that for a second. I don't see how you can, even if he did it, how you can convict him with this evidence, because to convict somebody, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. None of this is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That's why 7 jurors, when they was first polled in deliberations, they said not guilty. Then they all flip-flopped because they was cowards. And I'm scrolling on down, I'm in the 90s now. Let's see. Explain why Mr. Hilligus was not asked by investigators to provide an alibi. Explain why Mr. Hilligus was not asked by investigators to provide his DNA or his fingerprints. So, that's just some of the key points in this. I know 99.9% of anybody watching this video has already went through them and read it. I know for a fact some of the YouTubers have been covered this, but as always, I just came across it yesterday, and I couldn't help myself. I had to talk about some of these things, like the fingerprints on the vehicle. Somebody please let me know if those prints were ever established, that, okay, well, some of them was this person, some of them was this, whatever. Did they ever disclose whose fingerprints they were? If not, how is that even possible? How can you not be obligated to disclose information like that? Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. Like, share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And have a good one.